This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to answer the question, can foreigners drive in Russia? Matt, go ahead.
Sure. So the technical answer is yes, but there are a number of nuances, and we will try to get into some of them here. Generally, if you arrive to Russia on a visa, you can absolutely drive in Russia. There are different requirements if you have a permanent or temporary residence permit or are a Russian citizen. So we're talking basically here just about foreigners who come to Russia on either a tourist, business, or work visa. And those foreigners, yes, they can drive in Russia, but you cannot drive for work. Like you cannot drive like a truck in Russia as a foreigner. You have to have a Russian license to do that. But let's get into some of the details and maybe one or two anecdotes from our experience. But I've rented a car a number of times with an American license in Russia, no questions. Technically, under the law, you can drive without any other sort of documents as long as your license is in Latin letters. Marcus, do you want to talk about maybe the international driver's permit? Is it required? Do I need to have a notarized translation of my driver's license?
Sure.
What's kind of the...
So I drove actually quite a few times before I got a car and went to Russia. When I went to rent a car, they asked for a notarized translation of my my driver's license. So I've been driving, I don't know, starting in 2009 to 2019, over a 10-year period. And I've been stopped by police multiple times, probably around 30 times.
We should point out that doesn't mean you were stopped because you were actually violating rules or whatnot. Sometimes they're just checkpoints and you're stopped.
So over a number of years, I was stopped about 30 times, traffic stops or whatever. What I wanted to say is what's stated in the law, like Matt said, if you have a driver's license in Latin, because there's so many different countries that are either part of the international agreement or not part of it, police will usually just ask for the same thing when they see a foreigner. So we recommend having obviously the original of your driver's license, a notarized translation of that driver's license, and then also an international driving permit. So in the US, you get one that's like this, and
Yep.
I got this at AAA for $15 or $20, I can't remember. And then so the first page, it basically says what you're allowed to drive, what kind of vehicle you're allowed to drive, and then you have a bunch of translations. This first page, Arabic and Russian, and then on the last page is where your information is, like your picture, your obviously your name. Basically, they just fill it out, the same details on your driver's license. They put it here, stamp it, and it's good for 1 year.
Well, we should also note that that is not actually a license, but just rather a permit. So without your original license, that's completely invalid.
Right.
You must have your original driver's license.
So of the 30 times I was asked to produce my documents, 29 of those times was just the notarized translation with my original driver's license and registration for the car. Rarely did I get asked for the insurance. I was driving a car not registered in Russia for the most part. Then one time I was asked for the international driver's license or driver's permit, and I didn't have this, and I argued with the guy about that I didn't need it, and we kind of went back and forth, and then he said, okay, just get out of here. But just you'll probably be in a situation if you don't have all the documents that they ask for. You could probably argue about it, but just if you don't want to be in that situation, you have your original, your notarized translation, and the international driving permit.
Right. And with those documents, you should have no issues. I've rented a car at least 10 times in Russia, maybe more. I was never asked for the notarized translation when renting the car. I was asked, I think only once. I was pulled over maybe 5 or 6 times, either at checkpoints or whatever. Usually they just said, go ahead.
Right.
But the one time they did ask for the notarized translation, I usually gave it. If they, it got to the point where I was giving my documents, I would just give it. To be honest, none of them usually looked at it. They just kind of, like pulled the driver's license up and said, okay, go ahead.
Well,
sometimes I think they just stop. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as a kind of an additional note, the other documents that if you're driving your own car, you can drive in Russia tax-free with your own car for up to a year. At the border, you'll get a temporary, what is it called?
Like import,
yeah. And every time you're stopped in Russia, you give them your license, notarized translation, and in addition to the international driver's permit, if you have it, your registration of the vehicle, and then also your copy of the temporary import. If it's your own car, obviously if it's a Russian registered car, you don't need that. But and then on occasion they'll ask for additional documents, which are the insurance and your registration. I was asked once for registration. So, I mean, you kind of have a pile of documents ready in case they ask.
Right. But in our experience, generally driving in Russia was quite straightforward, quite easy. A lot of people think it's crazy, but I don't know. Around Moscow, it can get hectic with traffic, but generally, I didn't find it any different than any major U.S. city in terms of navigating the roads. But
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Let us know what your comments.
I enjoyed it a lot, and a lot of foreigners are hesitant, but you kind of have to be a little more aggressive, I think. But let us know what your experience is in driving We'll have to cut that out. Let us know your experience in the comments, whether you were driving in big cities or even in Russian cities, and was it as bad as you expected?
This was Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have a question about Russia, let us know in the comments. We'll answer it in another video.